Hello, welcome back to these videos where we learn some English every day. In today's video, we're going to learn about one of my hobbies. If you're following along, some days I teach about the hobbies I did when I was a kid and how it helped me improve as a student. So, of course, before I start, don't forget to give us a like below and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet so that you can get more of these videos where we learn English every day. So today, of course, about billiards. Billiards, my favorite hobby. Favorite, yeah, I guess in college, I would say it was my favorite. I was introduced to it by one of my high school friends. Of course, if you don't know what billiards are, sometimes in American English we say play pool. Here you go. So you can see this guy's playing pool and playing pool. And also the official name is billiards. And it has 8-ball version, and I'll explain later. Yes, this is 8-ball version. It also has 9-ball version, which you might have a picture here. Yes, 9-ball is usually used in tournaments more. But I'll explain how I got introduced to it and why I liked it so much. So I got introduced to it from my high school friend, Jennifer. She had a pool table in her house. So I used to go over there and hang out. She had a dartboard in her house, a pool table. She had a whole game room. So I used to love going over there. And of course, because she grew up with that pool table, she was quite good. But I would play her all the time and I would enjoy it. And I realized I've never been great at sports, but I realized, partially, I guess, because I love math, that billiards, you can do math with sports, and also it's an individual sport, which I loved. I was never great at team sports, but at individual sports, because I'm not competitive enough. We talked about this before in my study tips one, where you have to compete with yourself, not with other people, and billiards was great for me for that. I'll give some examples later when I got into college. But anyway, I used to play at least a couple times a week, and in college I played probably even more. Most colleges have a billiards table. Most apartments have a billiards table. Even when I lived in Koreatown, Los Angeles, we had a swimming pool, but we also had a billiards table, 2 or 3, so the different people can play against each other in the apartment building. So in college, I realized, yeah, I could use math like angles and geometry and speed and things to control the ball. And I started loving it, and I loved it. If you watch the other video, I talked about poker, playing cards, poker. Poker, I've played since I was 5 years old, maybe billiards since I was 18 years old, but poker is a great game, I think, because it uses strategy. It's not just playing the cards, you're playing the person. And in billiards, if you play like that, a lot of Americans, I know some people that paid for their whole college by gambling at billiards. There's a strategy and there's a whole industry of playing versus the person. So it's not about being good or bad. It's about knowing the person you're playing against and knowing how to play against them. Like one time I was playing a game and it was 2 versus 2, and the guy told me, "Hey, scratch." Scratch means, of course, when you miss the cue ball and it goes the wrong way. There's not enough chalk usually on the pool stick. There's not enough chalk. So if it misses, it'll scratch. It'll go in a strange way. So he told me, and I still remember this, he said, "Scratch." I was like, "What? Scratch on purpose? Make a mistake on purpose?" Like, yeah, I want the other people to think you're not as good as you are. What? Huh? Interesting. But anyway, I mentioned that. I was never heavy into gambling. My friends were. But I mentioned that because it's interesting that it's a game of strategy as much as it's a game of skill. And it's interesting like that. So you can play against a person and learn well. So I love that. Also, when I was in college, so I'll just give an example of 2 different quick stories. When I played billiards, a few years ago when I visited America again, of course I live in Japan, but when I visited America again, I played against, maybe 10 years ago now, I guess, I played billiards against my best friend from high school, and I won. I won the game, so I should be happy, right? But no, I wasn't happy, actually. I was disappointed because I hadn't played, at that point, probably I hadn't played in at least 5 years. And so I was really rusty and I was disappointed with myself. What a terrible game. In that way, I guess it's kind of like golf. But my friend was like, "What? What are you talking about? You won. Why aren't you happy?" Because he was upset because he lost. But I was upset because I didn't play as well as I could have. So even though I won, in my opinion, I lost because I had played worse than I should have based on my experience. And another example is when I was in college, I joined the billiards tournament. My friends found out I liked to play billiards, so they entered me in the tournament. And the second match of the tournament, I did the first. Uh, we if it's a pyramid, so of course I did the first one quite well. But the second time, the second person I had to play against was a female at the college, and she was famous for being probably the second best. She was probably the second best overall player in the whole tournament. The best was one of our teachers. He joined the tournament too. He owned a billiards hall, so he also grew up with billiards his whole life. But she was probably second best. She was famous in our college. Like, Ken, oh, you're in trouble. You're going to play against the second best person. So I was worried about it, and I was perking myself up, and my friends were revving me up, and I played the game. And the first game we played, it was kind of even. It was even, and I was like proud, and my friends were revving me up. Wow, you're doing so well against her, even though she's so great. But what I didn't know was she wasn't taking it so seriously because I wasn't such a great player as her. So my friends were all saying, different stuff, and she got mad, and she's like, oh, okay. So from the second game, we have to win 2 out of 3. The second game, she played at her full ability, and I played at my full ability. And 8 ball, it was 9 ball. So 9 ball, you get 9 different. So 8 ball is when you do stripes versus solids, and you each have the 8 ball is called 8 ball because that's the last shot. But you have 7 solids, 7 stripes, and you get them all in. That's more casual play. When you do tournament play, you usually do 9 ball, and you do them in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's much harder because you have to hit the balls in the numerical order. So we were playing 9 ball, of course, and out of 9 balls, I got 2. So she got 7. She destroyed me. But in that game, opposite from the game I explained earlier, in that game, I was happy. And my friends were like, what? Then my friends were all upset, like, oh man, we said, wipe the floor with you. She wiped the floor with you. She destroyed you. I'm like, yeah. Well, and they're like, why? Why are you so happy? Why are you smiling? I'm like, well, and those 2 balls were the the best balls I'd ever gotten. I worked the hardest I'd ever played up until that point. That was the best. I think I was 19 years old, so first year of college. Until 19 years old, I'd played for about a year then. That was the best billiards game I'd ever played. So I was happy. Even though I lost, I played the best I could have, better than I expected. So I was quite happy. So that's why I love billiards, because of course you play against yourself. You become better yourself. You should, like golf, you should try to improve yourself. Am I getting better or I'm getting worse? As I always tell my kids, every day you either get better or you get worse. And billiards is a great game to teach you that. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, so if you want to play, you can of course play against me anytime. But of course, 8 ball is the casual play, like I said earlier, where you just do solids and stripes and you just hit them in random order, any order you want, and eventually you'll get it to the 8 ball, and the 8 ball is the last shot, you get it in. Or 9 ball, like I said, is usually more tournament play, where only the 1 through 9 balls are on the table, and you have to hit them in order. To achieve the win, you have to hit the 9. Whoever hits the 9 in wins it. So you could hit one, and bounce it into the 9 and go in. So quite good. So to finish this, I'll say 2 quick stories about my experience. When I was in college, I got to see a trick shot artist one time, and I was surprised. So you can watch these on YouTube anywhere you want, but playing pool and trick shot artists are kind of 2 different sports. So it's like a stunt driver for a car versus a race driver in a car who drives a race. So there are different strategies involved, and it's interesting to watch. So you should watch trick shot. I learned a few trick shots from that trick shot artist. He was so amazing. They usually trick shot artists will visit around different colleges in America. Another experience when I was a hotel manager in America is a guest came one time, and when she came to my hotel to check in, I'm like, wait a minute. Are you the Black Widow? I knew from her face and her fashion sense. So she's called, you can research her on the internet, she's called the Black Widow. Well, her nickname is, I guess, the Black Widow. She was very popular in the 90s when I was a hotel manager. She's probably the best female pool player ever, maybe, at least in my opinion. During that time, she was probably the best. And she came to Memphis to join a pool tournament, and warming up for the pool tournament, she was playing pool across the street from my hotel. So I mentioned the story because you always regret. What's the famous quote? You regret the things you never did. So she invited me to play against her. And I did go and watch her play other local people, not in the tournament part, that would be downtown, but in the neighborhood. She was playing, that's why she was staying in my hotel, which is kind of neighborhood in Memphis. She was playing against all these local people and gambling against them too, I guess. But I enjoyed watching her, but I was scared to play against her. I respected her so much, seeing her on TV, that I thought, I can't challenge her. But anyway, I mentioned it because, yeah, if you ever get that chance to play against your great, play against somebody, like if you see somebody that you really respect, like, whoa, I respect that guy, but can I really play against him? So, of course, you should always give it a shot. Try it. Okay, thanks again for watching these videos. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to come again tomorrow. And here's some other videos. So, of course, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Here's some other videos, different hobbies things or different things I teach. And here's some other popular videos on our channel. Until next time, have a good day and see you tomorrow.